Watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Gloria, and I'm Randy Hansen. In world news headlines today: Egypt, at least 35 protesters killed and 1,700 injured as security forces crack down in Cairo. And hundreds of Ethiopian troops invade Somalia backed by tanks and heavy artillery. And UC Davis places police officers on leave following pepper spray and peaceful Occupy protesters. And civil rights movement leader lends support to Occupy protesters. And Washington lobbying firm offers to undermine Occupy movement on behalf of Wall Street. And Libyan fighters capture prominent Gaddafi son, former intelligence chief. And anti-government fighters in Syria launch rocket-propelled grenades at ruling party headquarters. And Israeli forces closure of radio stations operated by Palestinian Israeli peace activists. Republican Democratic Super Committee members set to announce defeat. And NYPD arrests 27-year-old man on terrorism-related charges. And out of Brazil, indigenous leader assassinated by 40 masked gunmen. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news stories, security forces in Egypt have killed at least 35 protesters in Cairo and other Egyptian cities over the past 3 days during protests against military rule. More than 1,700 have been injured. Violence began Saturday when police moved to break up a sit-in Cairo's Tahrir Square. One Egyptian protester said, "We need civilian rule. We need a president that we all agreed on. We need a constitution before the election that will get rid of the remnants of the previous regime and a spectrum of political Islam which is implementing certain agendas." The attack on the protest comes just weeks before Egypt's first free parliamentary elections in decades. Hundreds of Ethiopian troops backed by tanks and heavy artillery have invaded Somalia. The move by Ethiopia comes just 5 weeks after Kenya launched its own invasion. Both countries say their target is Somalia militant group Al-Shabaab. In 2006, Ethiopia launched a larger invasion into Somalia, ousting the moderate Islamic Courts Union, a move that led to the rise of the more militant Al-Shabaab group. The New York Times reports the Obama administration appears split on the new Ethiopian invasion. Some diplomats in the U.S. State Department are strongly against the move, while the Pentagon and the CIA seem to support it. The University of California, Davis has announced it has placed 2 police officers on administrative leave after they were videotaped pepper spraying a group of student protesters. Students were peacefully sitting down cross-legged with their arms locked when officers began pepper spraying them at close range. Students were protesting the dismantling of the Occupy UC Davis encampment that was set up in the school's quad area. And prominent figures from the civil rights movement lent their support to the Occupy movement over the weekend. A group of independent leaders known as the Council of Elders visited occupations in California and New York to discuss a number of issues, including poverty, mass incarceration, and what they described as a culture of war. United Farm Workers co-founder Dolores Hutter addressed occupiers in Los Angeles and said, yes, we've got to occupy Wall Street. You know, Wall Street, we've got to do that. But we've also got to occupy the school board, right? And we've got to occupy the city council, and we've got to occupy the Congress, because this is where the decisions are made, where our money is going to go, whether it's going to go to schools or it's going to go to jails, whether it's going to go for more tax loopholes for the corporate world, or we're going to have more money for health services. So we have a big job to do, and it's coming from the bottom. We know that all the changes that have been made, like the civil rights movement, the women's movement, the peace movement, the LGBT movement, have come from the bottom. So thank you very much. You're leading the way, and we are very blessed to be here with you. Thank you very much. We can do it. That's the gist of her conversation. A newly leaked memo reveals a high-powered Washington lobbying firm has offered to help key members of the banking community undermine the Occupy Wall Street movement. According to MSNBC, the lobbying firm Clark Little Geduldig and Cranford sent a memo to the American Bankers Association and offered to conduct opposition research on Occupy Wall Street in order to construct negative narratives for a fee of $850,000. Memo advises the ABA to take the movement seriously, writing, "It may be easy to dismiss OWS as a ragtag group of protesters, but they have demonstrated that they should be treated more like an organized competitor who is very nimble and capable of working the media, coordinating third-party support, and engaging office holders to do their bidding. To counter that, we have to do the same." The memo goes on to warn the ABA that the Democratic victories in 2012 would be detrimental for Wall Street, and suggested the financial industry focus its energy on specific races that would lead to Republican elections. ABA has confirmed that it received the memo, but says it chose not to act on the advice in any way. Two of the memo authors, partner Sam Goldigdig and Jay Cranford, previously worked for Republican House Speaker John Boehner. Fighters in Libya have captured one of Muammar Gaddafi's most prominent sons, as well as disposed leader's former intelligence chief, Abdullah Senussi, who was taken into custody on Sunday. Senussi's capture came one day after fighters in the town of Zintan took Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam, into custody. While both men are wanted for International Criminal Court, leaders in Zintan have refused to release Gaddafi's son until a new government is established and working court system is put into place. They maintain that their prisoner must be tried in Libya. Anti-government fighters in Syria launched rocket-propelled grenades at the ruling Ba'ath Party headquarters in the capital city of Damascus over the weekend. Attack is seen by many as a sign of a new chapter in the nation's 8-month-old uprising against President Bashar al-Assad. Opposition forces say the strike was a response to the government's failure to comply with the Arab League peace plan, under which it agreed to free tens of thousands of political prisoners and to withdraw its troops from the streets. A deadline for the peace deal passed on Saturday amid continued violence, with reports that at least 17 people were killed. President Assad's government has been accused of killing more than 3,500 of its own citizens while committing a number of human rights abuses. Over the weekend, Assad defended the use of violence by his forces. And Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president, said, talking about the killing, you have to ask who killed the 800 officers and soldiers and policemen in the streets. So we're not talking about the most peaceful demonstrations. We are talking about militants. Whenever you have militants, you have killing. So the role of the government is to fight those militants in order to restore the stability and to protect the civilians, not by leaving them to do what they want to do and talk about killing. This is our job, and that's what we are doing now. Israel has forced the close of a radio station operated by Palestinian and Israeli peace activists. The All for Peace station was shut down, even though it had a broadcast license from the Palestinian Authority. Critics say the closing of the radio station is part of a broader attack on liberal institutions in Israel. Or it might, it's hard to say. I'll keep my comments to myself. Republican and Democratic leaders of the so-called Super Committee are set to declare defeat over 3 months of talks failed to bridge deep divides over taxes and spending. The super committee inability to reach a deal will trigger a $1.2 trillion in automatic spending cuts over 10 years to military and domestic programs starting in 2013. Democrats have blamed Republicans for their unwillingness to yield on the no new tax pledge. Democrats Senator Pat Murray of Washington, co-chairman super committee, appeared in CNN's State of the Union on Sunday and said, "As long as we have some Republican lawmakers who feel more enthralled with a pledge they took to a Republican lobbyist than they do to a pledge to the country to solve the problems, this is going to be hard to do." Well, I think it takes two to tangle, and both sides will never agree. New York City police have arrested 27-year-old man from the Dominican Republic on terrorism-related charges. Officials say the man, Jose Pimentel, was an al-Qaeda sympathizer who was in the process of building a bomb. New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg announced the arrest a couple nights ago. He said the suspect was so-called lone wolf, motivated by his own resentment of the presence of American troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as inspired by al-Qaeda propaganda. He was not part of a large conspiracy emanating from abroad. The NYPD had Pimentel under surveillance for the past year. NYPD Commissioner Ray Kelly said that a confidential informant had numerous conversations with Pimentel in September 7th in which he expressed interest in building small bombs and targeting banks, government, and police buildings. In Brazil, an indigenous leader in southern Brazil was assassinated on Friday by 40 masked gunmen. The 59-year-old Nacio Gomes was killed just weeks after his tribe returned to their ancestral land after being evicted by cattle ranchers. Brazil's Human Rights Secretary condemned the murder as part of a systematic violence against indigenous people in the region. And that's it for the World News today. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. You guessed it, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
Something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter, and pictures in the blotter not from these actual events but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Friday, 10:46 a.m. A caller from Highway 49 in Taylorville Road reported vehicles driving the wrong way on the off-ramp. 11 a.m. a caller from Plaza Drive reported transients with a campfire who were moving on. And at 1:23 p.m. caller from Mill Street reported a theft. 1:57 p.m. caller from 400 block of South Auburn Street reported ongoing drug activity. At 3:57 p.m. a man from Dalton and Pleasant Streets reported someone broke out the back window of a vehicle. And at 4:40 p.m. a caller from 200 block of Hallen Drive reported a drunken woman dragged someone into a room. No assault was found. It was a disciplinary issue. At 6:09 p.m. a caller from 1100 block Sutton Way reported two women possibly stole items from a store, then left. At 8:03 p.m. a caller from Plaza Drive reported a drunken woman in a vehicle who was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence. And Saturday, 1:37 a.m. a woman from 11,000 block of Nevada City Highway reported a suspicious circumstance. Jack in the Box employees refused to serve her because they said they were making 500 tacos. The lights were off, but people were moving around inside. The manager confirmed closing the restaurant due to receiving a large order. 2:39 a.m., a caller from 200 block of West Main Street reported a man throwing things outside. No charges were desired. It was an upset employee. 9:22 a.m., a man from East Bennett Street reported the theft of medications. At 11:26 a.m., a caller from 100 block of South Auburn Street reported a pigeon caught in some Christmas lights on a building. At 11:29 a.m., a caller from West Main and Church Street reported a man and a woman shoplifted. Both were cited. At 11:31 a.m., a caller from 400 block of Henderson Street reported a physical fight involving two men and a woman. They said it was verbal only. At 12:27 p.m., a caller from 100 block of Lidster Avenue reported being scammed by a caller who told the victim to put $1,500 on a CVS card to win prizes. At 6:07 p.m., a caller from 200 block of Mohawk reported a possible burglary in progress. The person had locked the keys in the vehicle. At 8:49 p.m., a caller from 500 block of South Auburn Street reported a man in a vehicle offering marijuana to girls passing by. He was gone when officers arrived. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Friday. Mama talking to me, trying to tell me how to live. 7:26 a.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Grinding Rock Drive reported a burglary to a vehicle. 9 a.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Highway 174 reported a sweepstakes scam. 9:54 a.m., a caller from 12,000 block of Honey Mushroom Lane reported the theft of a truck key. That's a great name for a street, isn't it? 9:56 a.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Haas Court reported a neighbor pulling up survey stakes for a fence. At 9:56 a.m., a caller from Slate Creek Road and Deer Park Drive requested extra patrols due to drug use. 11:40 a.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Stone Arch Drive reported a burglary to a vehicle. At 12:23 p.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Ridgeview Drive reported a residential burglary. 1:42 p.m., caller from 16,000 block of Indian Springs Road reported the theft of shoes and books. The situation was mediated. And 5:37 p.m., caller from 16,000 block of Gary Way reported a boy slashed tire with a knife because his phone was taken away. He was cited on suspicion of vandalism. At 11:52 p.m., a caller from 17,000 block of Penn Valley Drive reported an embezzled vehicle. Saturday, 12:29 a.m., caller from Highway 49 and Brunswick Road reported a vehicle driving southbound in a northbound lane. At 4:42 a.m., caller from 11,000 block of Forest View Drive reported people looking in the windows of a residence. They could not be located. 8:11 a.m., a caller from Nevada Union High School reported a burglary and vandalism. And at 4:09 p.m., a woman from 18,000 block of Bridget John Road reported juveniles were using an ATV without permission. One was cited in an unknown charge. And 5:13 p.m., a caller from Tom Ray Drive reported illegal fireworks. 5:28 p.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Altair Drive reported a boy was shooting from the bushes at cars with a BB gun or airsoft gun. 11:10 p.m., a caller from 21,000 block of Big Oak Drive reported someone possibly taking down a satellite dish. And Sunday, 12:31 a.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Ridge Road reported several boys climbing into a residence window. And Nevada City Police Department on Friday at 3:27 p.m., a caller from Bridge Street reported a tree in the road. At 9:37 p.m., a caller from 400 block of North Pine Street reported a loud crowd. 9:50 p.m., caller reported they were yelling and there was no noise ordinance. And Saturday, 3:33 p.m., a man from 300 block of Gracie Road reported possible burglary while finding his previous locked door open. And 6:08 p.m., caller from 200 block of Commercial Street reported 8 to 10 people smoking marijuana, drinking, blocking the sidewalk, being confrontational, and breaking a bottle. 9:50 p.m., a woman from 700 block of Zion Street reported being held against her will by an ex-boyfriend. At 10:04 p.m., a very drunken woman was reported being locked out of a room. She was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. And Sunday, 1:49 a.m., a caller from 100 block of North Pine Street reported an assault. And 1:58 a.m., a caller from 100 block of Sacramento Street reported someone turned on an outside light and might be a prowler. And that's it today for the blotter. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's local news headlines, 3 arrested after authorities seize 135 pounds of pot. Grass Valley man arrested on drug charges after dispute. And Toby Trail's death ruled a homicide. In our first local story written by Liz Keller of the Union, 3 Lake of the Pines residents have been arrested in connection with a large marijuana grow after authorities seized at least 135 pounds of processed marijuana. Nevada County Narcotics Task Force members served search warrants Thursday on 2 residents in Lake of the Pines and a 40-acre parcel in South County, said Sheriff Keith Royal. The parcel in the 19,000 block of Kingswood Court, as well as the residents in the 13,000 block of Torrey Pines Drive and 11,000 block of Skylark Court, all are owned by John Stephen Van Lieft and his wife. Narcotics officers allegedly found 2 marijuana gardens, each with 38 plants that had already been processed, about 60 pounds of processed marijuana in the Kingswood Court property, as well as several firearms. At the Torrey Pines residence, officers found Angie Denise Wilbert, 42, who allegedly was trimming when they arrived. They also found 15 pounds of processed marijuana. Officers located another 60 pounds of marijuana at the Skylark home. And yes, Ben allegedly was working with Robert Dale Wilbert, 51, Royal added. They were processing the gardens together. The marijuana was seized, and Royal said the case might be turned over to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency. Van Lieft, 56, was arrested on suspicion of possessing marijuana for sale, cultivating marijuana for sale, and criminal conspiracy. He was booked and released on a $10,000 bail. Robert Wilbert was arrested on suspicion of possessing marijuana for sale, cultivating marijuana for sale, and criminal conspiracy, and being held in county jail in lieu of a $10,000 bail. Angie Wilbur was booked on suspicion of possessing marijuana for sale and criminal conspiracy and released on a $10,000 bail. Grass Valley police responded to a verbal dispute downtown, ending up arresting one of those involved in the multiple drug charges. Officers on patrol heard an argument in a parking lot to 100 block of Neal Street at about 8 p.m. Wednesday, according to dispatch reports. One of the men involved, identified as Erwin Gene Boyce, 33, was on probation with search terms, said Captain David Remillard. Officers searched Boyce and allegedly found methamphetamine, marijuana, and prescription medication, including hydrocodone, as well as drug paraphernalia and needles. They also allegedly found a laptop that matched one reported as stolen from a business 2 weeks ago. Remillard added. Boyce was booked in county jail on suspicion of possession of narcotics for sale, possession of controlled substances, possession of drug paraphernalia and hypodermic needles, and possession of stolen property. He's being held in lieu of a $36,000 bail. In a story written by Liz Keller, the death of Toby Trail man now is being investigated as a homicide after his son found his body inside his residence, said Nevada County Sheriff Keith Royal. The man has been identified as Delbert Randolph Wilder, 63 years of age. The son had not seen his father for a few days, went to the residence late Tuesday afternoon and saw what he believed to be a body, Royal said. Sheriff deputies responded to the Dobie Trail home off Greenhorn Road east of Grass Valley, found Delbert had been dead for some time. On Friday, Royal said Wilder's death is being treated as a homicide. An autopsy has been performed, but Royal would not release the cause of death due to an ongoing investigation. He also would not release any details on what evidence led investigators to determine Wilder had been murdered, although an email from a relative cited blood-spattered walls. "We are asking for assistance," Royal said. "We are urging anyone with information to please contact the Sheriff's Office at 265-1471. That's 265-1471. And that's it today for our local news. GVTV News would like to thank Associated Press, Reuters, Amy Goodman, the Union, and others for the sourcing of our news, and especially you for watching. Don't forget, we are broadcast 3 times a day on public access NCTV, Comcast Cable Channel 11, and Sudden Link Channel 16 in Truckee and Alta Sierra, 8 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Random other times, check the website for the schedule. We are streamed daily on NevadaCountyTV.org. and video on demand there, and also our websites, GVTV.org, GrassValleyTelevision.com, and RuralCountiesTelevisionNetwork.ning.com. We also post to Facebook, YouTube, Blip.tv, and a free video podcast on iTunes. You can get us on smartphone, PSP, and many handheld devices, and we have RSS feed. And if you want to watch GrassValleyTelevision.com, you can get 24/7. We show different shows on there that we've done in the past. Now we'd like to thank one more underwriter before we leave today, and talk to you tomorrow should be Wednesday. Christopher's Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food and service downtown Grass Valley. You like desserts? They got them. You like international style lunches? They got them. Christopher's Deli and Catering for parties, get-togethers, weddings, or whatever. Open 7 days a week.